Hello, Laurel Dawn, and I want to talk to you for a moment about lift up and let go techniques, why I teach them, and what they are. So first, what they are. So they are exactly what they sound like. It is a tool or a technique that you do for yourself to either lift yourself up and out of the situation you're currently in, mentally, physically, spiritually, socially, emotionally, or to help you discover something you need to let go of. Something that's keeping you stuck, something that's holding you in place, something that is making you feel less than. Those are all things we need to let go of. There is no reason to hold on to those. So this is you. And I want to explain this drawing because this will help you understand why lift up and let go techniques are so important. So we have all had life experience. That is what life is. It is one experience after another. I call them life lessons learned. And when you learn something from that life lesson, you very rarely repeat it. But when you just see it as an experience and every part of that experience was bad, and you don't ever come up with do's and don'ts because of that experience, we hold on to that. We keep it in our body and we keep it in our space. So to explain this drawing, obviously the person is a person, but this circle around the person is your personal space or your personal bubble. So in an energetic field that can actually be monitored on a camera, if someone were to hold their hand out and then bend their wrist for them, we can all project our energy on an average to our wrist. Now, some people can extend it all the way to their fingers and beyond. And some people, their bubbles maybe only go to their elbow pit. And you can tell through their body language. Do they have big open gestures because they don't feel trapped because they have space to move around? Or do they talk with T-Rex arms because that's all the space they have? And everything they do is very close and very push. They're constantly pushing because they feel trapped versus someone who has big open arms that's constantly pulling because they know they have more room in them and around them. So another way of looking at this is, what is your capacity? What is your emotional capacity? What is your capacity for relationships, for time, for money, for resources, for people? Because your body language will tell people how much space you have. Because some people are able to extend their bubbles even wider than their physical reach. They can go all the way beyond. They can reach far, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, and especially socially. So, our figure here. This is you. This is your world. This is your bubble. This is your personal space. When someone pops your bubble, you start to leak. And you start to feel drained. And think of what happens when you slowly pop a balloon. The balloon starts to get smaller. And all of a sudden, everything we were capable of holding before, we can no longer hold because the bubble around us just got smaller. So don't let people pop your bubble. Don't let people, I call it, don't let anyone should on you. Don't should on others, don't should on yourself. Because shoulding on people, should have, would have, could have, all poke holes in their bubble. And then their bubble gets smaller and then they shut down. And sometimes some people's bubbles are so small that they don't even move and they can't hold their head up high and they bend their knees and they have poor posture and they kind of stand like this. And it's really hard to reach out to these people. Where's my remote? Sorry guys, I gotta make this bigger. There we go. So they will stand and they'll have small body language. And then you'll see them a little while later and they're standing tall and their head is level and their gestures are big and open and wide. Because instead of their bubble being popped, they let go of things, or they lifted themselves up and they made their space bigger. Now, why do we want our space bigger? Because if all these little symbols in here represent people, resources, and money, can you now hold more relationships with people, more relationships with money, and more relationships with resources like time or technology or knowledge? So lift up techniques allow you to expand your world. They let you fill, they let your bubble get bigger so you can put more stuff in it. So that's one option. If you are feeling like you need better friends, more communication, more money, more resources, better management of your time, you can lift yourself up, and you will literally lift yourself up with your body language. You will open up your gestures, and you will speak big, and you will speak in charge. Or if you don't know, if you choose to do a let go technique and you still have that smaller bubble, letting go of things that aren't good. So say you have a relationship that's really toxic and you choose to let go of that relationship. You now have space, even in your smaller circle. And then you change your mindset about money, and you realize that the more money you have, the more people you can help. And all of a sudden, this past programming about money is evil is taken away. And now, not only do you have a new mindset about money, but you have space for more money to fit. And you created space for a new friend because you got rid of this other relationship. And now look at that. A different person will fit there. A different person who is more who is more of the relationship you actually need. So let go creates space because you let go of past programming, negative beliefs, or you just upgrade your programming because you could think that you could have a relationship that you think is in a good place, and then you learn to communicate better, and all of a sudden that relationship is in an even better place. So you let go of all of the past habits that formed the relationship that was here, and you keep a hold of the habits that keep your relationship here. So we're not always letting go of bad, and this is important. One of my mentors said this to me, and it took a couple weeks to sink in, so I hope it sinks in faster with you. Just because you find a better way to do something doesn't mean the first way you found was wrong. Thank you, Anne. Just because you found a better way to do something doesn't mean the first way was wrong. Now, I bake homemade bread. And I had a recipe that I loved, and I used it for years and years and years and years and years. And then I started watching the Great British Baking Show. I don't know if any of you watch that or not, but Paul is a professional baker, specifically of bread. And he said something one time about rise and letting your yeast actually expand. And he said, you get more flavor out of your bread when you let it rise in cold temperature instead of warm. It takes longer for it to rise. It takes longer for it to activate, but you get more flavor. Now, for all of you who let your bread rise in warmth and humidity, that's not a bad thing. It's a very proven and effective method. So I thought, I'm going to try this. Why wouldn't I? So I started with something simple. I started with cinnamon rolls. And instead of putting them in a controlled, warm, humidified environment, I left them on my counter, which our house was only, 60, 67 degrees because it was in the morning in the winter. And yeah, it took 2 hours for them to rise instead of only 45 minutes. But they were the best cinnamon rolls I had ever made, light and fluffy and full of flavor, because I made one adjustment, not because the way I was doing it before was wrong, But because I was given a better way by an expert, and I thought, why not try it? So I let go of a previous thought pattern, and I brought on a new resource, the Great British Baking Show, and a new expert, Paul from the Great British Baking Show. But because I let go of other things, those fit in my space. And the really cool thing is that because I learned something new, it helped me to lift myself up. So some of you are wondering now, well, which is more important, a lift up or a let go? They're both important because both of them help you heal, and both of them take where you currently are and project you into a new space that has better things around it. And isn't that what all of us want? We are all involved in personal development because, not because we hate our lives, but because we realize we do deserve better, and there is better out there. So we expand our world. And we use intention to fill it. I choose what is in the space around me. Because if something gets in that I don't want in, I can let go of it. And if I don't recognize what it is that got in, and I just feel off, I can lift myself up and make my world bigger so that that doesn't have as much of a hold on me. So let's talk about these black dots now, because those aren't in the world around us. Those are in us. And those are memories that we're holding on to, and the emotions that are attached to those memories, and the feelings that are attached to those memories, and the thought processes that cause our habits that are attached to those memories. So let's go there for a minute, okay? We all have past experiences. We all have hurt, hard, and broken behind us, with us right now, and in our future. Hurt, hard, and broken is within every person. But how much time do you spend dwelling on it? Because the more you dwell on these pieces of hurt, hard, and broken, you will have other people in your space with hurt, hard, and broken. The resources that come to you, cars, washing machines, food, will get to a state of hurt, hard, or broken faster. You want to know why your washing machine keeps breaking? It's because you're not dealing with the emotions inside you. And whatever's inside you is what creates the energy that surrounds you. So if you fill yourself full of good, positive emotions, then they project good, positive out. And then you have all this positive space. But because we are all full of hurt, hard, and broken, we also project negative. And whatever you focus on, your brain will find. So I want to offer you a challenge. Find a piece of you with hurt, hard, or broken in it and give it value. What? How do I give hurt, hard, or broken value? Easy. You get it to the point that if someone else goes through it, you can give them do's and do nots. Oh, I've had a similar experience to that. Something that helped me overcome it is because I made sure that I did this, and I made sure to never do this. And that's how I overcame that hurt, hard, and broken. And here's the cool thing, because that negative experience now has a value. And that doesn't mean that the experience was positive. It means that the memories and the emotions around it are no longer toxic. Because when you find value in your past, you will allow yourself to find value in your present. And when you find no value in your past, you find no value in your present. And if you find value in your present, you will allow value in your future. And if you find no value in your present, you will allow no value in your future. So am I saying you have to find these experiences and love them and be excited that they happened? Absolutely not. I have had horrendous things happen in my past. As a woman who spent 6 years in a highly abusive relationship, there are many things about my past that I do not love, that are full of hurt, heart, and broken, but now they have value to me because I looked at that and went, I will never let someone treat me that way again. And I will teach other women how to recognize that they have value, and that value does not change because of the relationships they are in. The relationships they are in change when they find value in themselves. So how did I get out of that relationship? I let go of all of the thinking that someone else had put in my bubble. Because my bubble was so small. My bubble was so small. I mean, it barely, and I felt so trapped. I didn't have other relationships. I didn't have other resources. And I had no money. So all I had was the hurt, heart, and broken that was inside me, and it would project into my bubble. And others would sense that. And there are people in this world who like hurt, hard, and broken people because their bubble is small and they're easy to control. I want your bubble to be big. I want you to recognize that past experience is not good or bad or right or wrong or positive or negative. It's just experience. And all experience is experience. And what is the thing that sets others apart? Experience. Your life, your past, your present, and your future have value. Are you willing to teach other people about that value? Are you willing to recognize the value that you have in yourself right now? Are you willing to look at some of those experiences in your past that you do not see value in and say, well, I now have a list of do and do not. So although I did not love that experience, I can now value that it happened. I can have gratitude for the experience I gained, for the life lessons learned that are making me the person I am, the person who survived, the person who is learning how to thrive. That is who is in this program. You are in this program. And that is why I know you will take these lift up and let go techniques and use them. And you will use them often. And you will use them so often that the people around you, the people who are with you, the people who are in your space and outside of it will see change. And they will ask you, what are you doing? And you will say, I am finding value in myself. And here's what I do, and here's what I do not do. And I invite you to do it as well. So go watch the Lift Up and Let Go video. Put it into practice and know you do have value, you do matter, and you are enough.